I'm Clay Cook, and I'm an editorial and portrait photographer based in Louisville, Kentucky.
One of the top people that we've been requested to do a tutorial with has been Clay Cook. And if you check out his portfolio, it is really unbelievable work, and his career has just skyrocketed in the last few years.
I think I'm most known for my studio work, but much of my work takes place outside on location. So to build a solid foundation, we're first going to start outside to deal with some of the hardest light situations you might encounter. And we're going to really try to achieve some Rembrandt style of lighting here. So I start my hand here in the direct hard sun. There are no shadows on my hand, but as I rotate it, those shadows start to appear on my hand. And if I was to completely rotate fully around, then my hand is covered in shade. But there's a sweet spot here at 45 degrees where these shadows are exactly what I want. So now that I've found this perfect Rembrandt style of lighting, you can see that we have this nice little triangle on the cheek, chin this way a little bit, perfect. And I'm gonna take a quick test shot.
A lot of Clay's images are shot in hard, harsh sunlight, but it's also important to know how to modify that light. So Clay takes you out on location and shows you how he modifies hard light so that you can get a completely different look.
I'm really liking this composition, but I see a major error here. The hard sunlight is sort of sneaking into our frame and creating this hard shadow line on his pants. So initially you might think that, oh, we'll just pull this white diffusion disc back and try to cover that area as well. The problem with that is that that light source, that soft, really nice light on his face, will completely disappear. If you were to compare the two shots when the disc is pulled away, you'll notice on the face, the light is more flat. It's also significantly darker. So we know that we like this diffusion close to his face, but unfortunately this size is just not going to work if we like that pulled out shot. So by introducing this larger source of diffusion, we're able to cover more of his body. We're still able to get that nice soft light on his face because it is so close.
The first section of this tutorial covers natural light and basically goes over the fundamentals of lighting in general. But once you have a basic understanding of how light works and what flattering light is, that's when we get to move into the studio and Clay really gets to show you what he's known for.
So to create more shadows, what we need to do is emulate the sun. And to emulate the sun, we're gonna tilt this head down and we're gonna raise our C-stand up by about 8 feet. As I raise this C-stand up, you're gonna see the shadow under her chin start to appear. And that's really what I want to see because it's gonna start edging out her chin. It's gonna really bring out her bone structure. If you were to compare both shots at this point, you're gonna see that one has a little bit more drama. One has a little bit more mood to it, has a little bit more strength, and that's the one with those strong shadows under the jawline. So I constantly receive questions about my lighting techniques and how I build my studio sets. So in this tutorial, it was super important for me to share completely different lighting techniques as well as how I build those studio sets. Once this wallpaper was glued to the foam core, we just went over it with a gray flat paint. And then we took black, mixed it with the gray, and then splattered it onto the wallpaper with a paper towel. Because we want to use this window light as a fill, we have to bring in artificial light. We're going to bring in one single strobe to add depth and add those dramatic shadows. My clients require me to use a lot of different equipment for each particular job. So in this tutorial, we work with everything from DSLRs to medium format and speed lights to professional strobes, as well as simple reflectors to large scrims. Now we have a nice subtle fill that's completely blue, but that's what we want. Now we're gonna bring in our kick light, but we're gonna modify it with this guy. It's a 20.5-inch beauty dish from Pro Photo. We've set a gel right in the center of this beauty dish. It allows us to gel the entire modifier without using a lot of material. So what Hunter's doing now is he's taking this fog and he's wafting it into the air, so it's a lot more subtle. It's not nearly as cloudy. Everything I do now requires a team. And so in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to work with a team. That includes hair, makeup, styling, and the full gamut of a production. And so Gunnar, what are we doing here today now?
Well, I think since we're gonna go dramatic and it's gonna be a moodier shot, I think that we should definitely step the styling up and go from something that's not so bright and crisp to something that's a little bit darker and sultrier. I wanna do a black satin gown, something that's gonna reflect and absorb light beautifully, so to give a nice play on the curves.
Bethany, what do you think you're gonna do on hair and makeup?
So with the makeup, instead of it being so masculine, we're gonna add a little bit more of the shadow on her cheek, a little less on her eyes, make it more so about her face shape. When you blend out her outer cheek area, like along right here and up through her temple, it makes it a little softer, it makes it a little bit more feminine.
So after I go through the entire process of how to create an image, I'm gonna bring in high-end retoucher Jordan Hartley to retouch and process the images, because post-processing is an incredibly important facet of what we do in production.
The mood for this image is supposed to be dramatic, mysterious, and futuristic, but I think his eyes are showing a bit too much through the sunglasses. So what we're gonna do is we're going to darken them down so you can't see them as much. I'm going to hit G on my keyboard to bring up my gradient tool. I'm going to click and shift and drag down. So now what I need to do is make a layer mask by hitting the button down at the bottom right. Now we just need to start painting with white over the lenses to show the effect of the gradient. It's looking really dramatic, really mysterious, and I think that's looking really good.
I remember seeing these images of Clay's where he has people propped up in these little tiny rooms, these little boxes, and I always wondered how in the world does he do that? But I was shocked to find out with just a little bit of foam core and some colored paper, you can create this kind of space in any location.
So we're gonna take a look at what we've shot so far, and we've got a lot of great shots. I think that there's a lot of different options, a lot of different expressions, a lot of different compositions. And I think it's important to remember that you're gonna see a lot of this studio space where the white V-flat ends, and in post-processing, what we're gonna do is literally just copy this section of wall and paste it over here, and it's a very easy blend, it's a very easy composite there.
To take care of this background extension, I'm going to start by using my marquee tool by hitting M on the keyboard, making a large selection of this white background. I'm going to hit Command J to make a duplicate of that area. And then I'm going to hit Command T to open our transform tool, and I'm just going to stretch this out to the left.
If you've ever tried to start a photography business, you probably know that taking the pictures is only half the battle. Actually getting your work out there and finding new clients may actually be more difficult than learning the lighting or learning the Photoshop techniques. And so Clay thought it was very important to do an entire 2-hour section just on the business of his photography. And so he covers everything that was so important for him to start a business in a small to medium-sized market, but also grow to one of the largest photographers in that market in just a couple of years.
But in this case, Catherine wants these images in perpetuity. I cannot put a time period on this. So we have to charge a lot more money for this licensing fee because of that time period. So let me show you what I put together. We filled out an estimate here, and the job description reads as follows. Create a variety of photographs of one female talent on one shoot date in Nashville, Tennessee. One thing to note here is that we have a new line of client provisions. Client provisions are production costs that I won't be responsible for. So in this case, the client is to provide the talent, hair, makeup, wardrobe, including the cost of wardrobe, catering, and production coordination, such as a creative director.
Just like all the tutorials we produce, this is a digital download, which means you can instantly download it, you can sync it to all your devices, and you can start learning this material instantly.
If you're anything like me and you learn best by actually doing the process yourself rather than just watching someone else do it, I'm happy to say that we are giving all of the raw files away from this tutorial as well. So you can see Clay take the picture in studio, you can have the exact same raw file and follow along with Clay's retoucher Jordan as he's retouching these pictures to perfection. One other huge perk of buying this tutorial is that you will have access to a secret Facebook group for those who purchase this tutorial. You're going to have access to Clay, you're going to be able to ask him questions, but you're also going to be able to share your work and your knowledge with people in this genre of photography all around the world.
If you've followed my work for the past few years and you've always wanted to know how I create that fashion editorial or that editorial portrait, then this is the tutorial for you.